Nickel is emerging as a cornerstone of sustainable development, particularly in the manufacturing of batteries for electric vehicles and renewable energy storage solutions. It's also recyclable and plays a significant role in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Justin Werner joins us now, the Managing Director of Nickel Industries. Justin, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us today. Now, nickel is gaining in importance when it comes to sustainable development. Is the mining of the metal keeping pace with ESG requirements?
Thanks, Oriel, for having us on the show. And no, look, I do believe that nickel is keeping pace. We actually published in our last quarter our carbon intensity for our one of our HPALs in Indonesia, and that carbon intensity came in at 6.97 tonnes of carbon per tonne of nickel. The Australian peer average, which actually sort of doesn't really exist anymore, as there's really only two producers left in Australia, was around 11 tonnes of carbon. So, we were second only to IGO's Nova operation. So I do believe from a carbon intensity perspective that absolutely, nickel is very sustainable, and we're sort of recognised as a leader in ESG in Indonesia, and we off the back of a lot of the work that we've done, we're actually invited to present at the COP28 Climate Summit in Dubai, and we were one of only two Indonesian mining companies that was asked to present to talk through some of the initiatives that we've undertaken. And that includes, the first to use electric vehicle haul trucks, and Indonesia's largest solar project, which is 250 megawatt peak plus 80 megawatt hour battery energy storage system. So I do believe it is achievable.
Is it difficult, do you think? I mean, you're obviously taking a leading position, but to get the entire industry on board?
Look, I think there's certainly players that could lift their standards significantly. But I do think in the case of the Indonesian government, they're putting a lot of focus and seeking to really crack down on those players that aren't meeting the standards and requirements that they want to set and that they want to be able to promote to the global investors and as well as end users.
What's the role of nickel going to be, Justin, when it comes to future industries?
Obviously, nickel is still the predominant metal in battery chemistries, although, we are starting to see, the emergence of lithium iron phosphate batteries, but I think there will still be a place for both of those battery chemistries. Stainless steel has always been, the base consumption for nickel, and we still see robust, compound annualized growth in stainless steel. We're bullish on India. We think there is certainly significant potential for stainless growth there. But we are also seeing increasingly a lot more nickel being used in alloys, especially around the space and aeronautical industry, oil and gas, which it's already been there for a long time, but geothermal and wind turbines and things like that. So nickel in alloys is certainly an area too where we're seeing growth in the use of nickel.
Mm. When we look at the nickel industry overall, what are the biggest challenges to meeting those sustainability goals that we've been talking about in reducing emissions out of the industry?
Yeah, I think the big step that's been made forward is the successful use of high pressure acid leach. It's a technology that's been around sort of 40 or 50 years, and it's been trialled numerous times in the West, relatively unsuccessfully. That has now been overcome, and I mean, what high pressure acid leach offers is, rather than using heat to liberate the nickel, you're actually using acid to dissolve the nickel and other elements such as cobalt into solution, and then you're able to recover them. So from an energy intensity perspective, it's significantly lower. Probably one of the challenges, I think, is it does generate a lot of tailings, and it's just really the management of those tailings, which is something that we're also sort of working towards addressing by putting out, rather than having a dedicated tailings storage facility, which means disturbance of more land, we're actually looking at putting it back into our mined out pits, recontouring it, and then looking at revegetating it with things like sorghum and other crops like that. So, that tailings is probably one of the big challenges, I think. And I think Thankfully, Indonesia didn't allow deep sea tailings disposal. I think that would have, certainly created some issues. But the management of tailings, and look, management of tailings is a global mining issue. It's not just it's not just for Indonesia to manage it. It's global with most most commodities.
Justin, are there any technological advancements when it comes to, I guess, bringing the circular economy into the nickel mining industry?
Yeah, so I mean, some of the things that are being worked on is the recovery of iron from tailings, and the tailings are predominantly iron, and that would be a commercially saleable iron pellet product. So that's something that is exciting and interesting, as well as the recovery of other elements within nickel laterites. There's an abundance of other elements, rare earths and things like that. That a number of companies are working on, and other processes that will deliver benefits over and above what today's processes can currently do. So there is a lot of work that's being done in that field, and I think the advances in nickel. It all sort of started in China with nickel pig iron. If you look to where it's gotten today, those improvements and advancements are continuing to be made, and so I think the industry will only improve and will become more circular and look at ways to extract more of the metals in the ore, and also to be able to sort of recycle some of the things like tailings or other things that typically have been treated as waste.